Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of MAGA Headline News. My name is Mike, and today is Sunday, May 4th, 2025. And what do we have for you today? Well, John Fetterman, okay? Democrat John Fetterman is now being canceled by the Democrat Party. And this is nothing new. Um, you do not just leave the Democrat Party, you are ejected from the Democrat Party, smeared, destroyed, your life destroyed, your reputation destroyed, and that is how they keep their people under control. And nobody's immune at all. It could be AOC tomorrow. It could be somebody innocently driving a Tesla that was a good Democrat that just happened to wake up on the wrong side of the Tesla story one morning, and all of a sudden their party is now attacking them. It doesn't matter if you're a voter, if you're a politician, or what you are. If you step out of line intentionally or unintentionally in the Democrat Party, you leave by their means, not your own. You leave being slandered, smeared, and having your life and reputation destroyed. And that is what you get with communism, socialism, because with communism and socialism and anything on the left, you do not get the truth. You do not get anything that will lead you to the truth. You will only get propaganda from the machine to be led down a path where they want you led down. Okay. All of a sudden, we saw in the last, couple of months that John Fetterman has had a little bit of common sense. Some things that he says, have made a little bit of sense. He went and met with Trump. He seems to be a little bit more of a down to earth Democrat. And I don't think they like that. And they don't want him there anymore. So they are going to, um, you know, they just don't primary you. Okay. They're going to eject them from office, embarrass them, and smear them. Okay. They don't care what, his children would have, the embarrassment or his family. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. It's all about the party, and it's all about the Marxist and communist playbook. Okay. That's what they're getting right now. So what happened was the New York Magazine released an article, and that's how they do it because they're in bed with the media, as we all saw. Um, just as a small sampling of it, you saw how much of the media is being funded by taxpayer dollars coming from the left. And, that's one thing with the left. They are a house of cards. All you have to do is defund them and they fall apart because everything is built, paid for, and fake. It's not organic. It's not real. You take away their funding and they fall apart. Take away the funding from the universities, they won't be able to find anybody to teach their Marxism or communism to turn these kids into Democrat blue haired terrorists. Okay. So, what we're going to do is we're going to read this article that came out about Fetterman, and we're just going to talk about how he is being excommunicated. They did this to Como also. They did this to a bunch of people. They even did it to Biden. They threw him out and then all of a sudden admitted that he wasn't fit for office. He was his cognitive decline and everything. They don't care. They don't care how hypocritical they are. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to bring this up. Where are we? Okay. So I don't have the actual article from the New York Magazine. It's a subscription base, but this is an article from the Huffington Post. Once one hit piece starts, they all start. They all fall in line, and really, this is how they keep everybody in line. They don't, they have. Don't think that the deep state doesn't have something on every single person. They are ready at the push of a button to fire and ruin a reporter's life, fire or slander any politician. It doesn't matter. And once these people get trapped, there are maybe some good people that may get trapped in this, and they don't know how to get out. How do you get out when you've done some dirt with the Democrat Party, or when they're going to just spread lies about you and just ruin your whole life and family? So you could either choose to be with them and take all the illegal money and the benefits of not being prosecuted or investigated for whatever you want to do, or you could take the other path and be excommunicated and have your life destroyed with them. So I do feel bad. There probably are a few good people out there that would like to tell the truth but are scared. So here we go. Huffington Post. Former Fetterman staffer sent warning letter to doctor about senator's bad trajectory report. Okay. I mean, right there. I mean, what is a staffer sending anything to his doctor? Okay. That's got to violate some. I mean, I don't know. Does that violate any kind of HIPAA or anything like that? But I mean, this is just unbelievable. This staffer, if you think that was organic, that he took it upon himself to send a warning letter, that's bullshit, is what it is. This all comes from up top, whoever it is, Pelosi, Obama. All roads will lead to Obama eventually. So yeah, former staffer sent warning letter to doctor about senator's bad trajectory report. Senator Fetterman's former chief of staff wrote a letter to a doctor involved with the Pennsylvania senator's treatment for clinical depression, detailing warning signs and expressing concern for the senator's mental health. Okay. If that's not a politically motivated to even release that information, I don't know what is. New York Magazine reported Friday that Adam Jetson, who served as Fetterman's chief of staff from 2022 to 24, listed a number of concerns in the letter, including worry that the senator was not taking his medication as prescribed and was not following through with checkups. How does this guy know if Fetterman's taking his medication or not? And where does he get off calling Fetterman's doctor? And where does he get off talking to anybody about it? Okay. This is this guy's personal medical business. Okay. And if he has a little bit of depression, which we don't even know if he does, okay, I think maybe he admitted it one time. So what? Everybody has a little bit of depression. Some of the most successful people in the world have depression. It's part of life. That doesn't mean the guy can't function. And I'm sitting here sticking up for a Democrat, okay, which I never do, but it this is really just exposing the horrible, horrible tricks of the left and the blatant disregard for the truth of anything for the Democrat voters or any American voters. So Jettleson had previously communicated updates about the senator's care to the public after Fetterman checked into a hospital in February of 2023 to receive treatment for clinical depression. Fetterman remained there for 6 weeks and declared his depression in remission. Okay, so why can't we take his word for that? The guy goes and gets treatment. He's human, all right? He's not gonna sit there and let it get to him. He went out and got treatment, if that's the case. So he declared his depression in remission when he left. Fetterman previously had a stroke in May during his Senate campaign. 1 year after Fetterman completed his inpatient treatment, Jettleson detailed warning signs we discussed to David Williamson, a doctor who had helped with Fetterman's care at Walter Reed National Military Center. I think John is on a bad trajectory, and I'm really worried about him. Again, why are you telling this to the public about his health? If he is doing his job and they are happy with him doing his job, they let Biden get away with, I mean, the guy couldn't even go on camera for 5 lousy minutes. The guy, he was roaming on camera, shaking invisible hands, stuttering, talking to himself. And this is and they stuck up for Biden and wouldn't admit it. but they're coming out publicly against this guy and using his health and mental health against him. When in actuality, he's probably one of the most down to earth Democrats. He may be the Democrat that, Democrats want, someone down to earth here that may actually just have some left wing values that don't want to destroy America. So I'm going to say this again. I think John is on a bad trajectory. I'm really worried about him. Jettleson said in his letter, according to New York Magazine, the New York Times also obtained a copy of the letter. Wow, everybody's just obtaining copies of this letter. His former chief of staff writes it, and all of a sudden the media is getting their hands on it. Okay. And this is where the difference between right wing patriots, MAGA voters, and the difference between the low IQ, low information voters of the left that literally cannot see through this propaganda. This has propaganda hit job written all over it. They're exploiting whatever may be wrong with this guy. But if you notice, none of this is saying that he did his job improperly. New York Times also obtained a copy of the letter, which was sent via email with the subject line concerns. Conspiratorial thinking, megalomania, for example. He claims to be the most knowledgeable source on Israel and Gaza around, but his sources are just what he reads in the news. He declines most briefings and never reads memos. Well, then if they're not happy with the way he does things, why don't they run? Because he seems to be doing a pretty good job as far as his constituents are concerned. We may not like what he does on the right, but his constituents seem to love him. It seems to be the deep state that doesn't like him at this point. Highs and lows, long rambling, repetitive, and self-centered monologues. Lying in ways that are painfully awkward, obvious to everyone in the room, Jettleson said, according to New York Magazine. This is obvious hit job material. Jettleson also expressed worry about Fetterman purchasing a gun. Here we go. And said he warned others not to get in the car with Fetterman if the senator was driving. The New York Times reports Fetterman called the New York Magazine article, which also detailed the concerns of other staffers and alleged worried comments from Fetterman's wife, Gazelle, a hit piece, and said, "My actual doctors and my family affirmed I am very well." Giselle Fetterman told New York Magazine Jettleson told her scary, untrue stories about John's house. And they probably are. I don't believe a word of it. I don't believe a word of what comes out of the left's mouth that gets to the media. During his time in the Senate, Fetterman has become known as a staunch ally for Israel and has been more willing to break with progressive Democrats on a number of issues. That's why they're doing this to him, because he is not falling exactly in line, because he is not out there acting like that imbecilic asshole Jasmine Crockett, okay, or that idiot AOC. That's why they're doing this to him. You can't, there is nothing honest about this whatsoever. And everybody needs to see this. Everybody needs to be able to interpret propaganda for what it is, because they do it to Fetterman, but they also do it to Trump, and they do it to any right-wing judges that get nominated. They never have facts. They make things up and they lie to the American people who have become addicted to only reading headlines. And that's why it is so important to get into detail about things, or at least find out a little bit of substance about a headline before you just take off and close the book on it. And that's what the right has learned to do. That is what MAGA has learned to do. And that's why we see right through the propaganda. But it needs to spread. More people need to become aware of this type of propaganda, because it's all Marxist, communist propaganda. These people need to be ejected from our political arena. They need to be ejected out of our media arena. Okay? They're doing nothing but lies, and they need to be exposed at all costs. That's why President Trump just defunded the NPR and PBS, because they're doing nothing but lie. And if they want to spread lies, if they want to spread a Marxist agenda, that's on them. They could do that, just not with our tax money. I don't want my tax money being spent on turning the children of America into trans. They're obsessed with turning kids into trans, obsessed with it. All of a sudden, every celebrity has a trans kid. Every single one. What are they doing to these kids? Do you think this is like organic where all these celebrities' kids are just turned trans? Now De Niro got a trans kid. I mean, none of this is organic. So you got to wonder what really goes on in the backdrop. I'd love to be a fly on the wall where these decisions are made to either hold people under some kind of blackmail or threat, because there is no way all these people are just falling into line so easily. There's got to be something in the backdrop, especially with the Epstein and Diddy stuff exposed. We see how many people were under blackmail, and that all will come out in detail eventually. We will get that information, and we're going to find out a lot of why things like this are happening. We'll find out the backdoor details of it. So he was first sitting Democrat senator to meet with President Trump at Mar-a-Lago after he defeated former Vice President Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election. Okay. I think we could all call this for what it is. I just wanted to bring some exposure to it. And we need to all be aware when we see propaganda like this. This time it's done to a Democrat who obviously is working his way into pretty much opening his eyes. I'm sure he will switch parties sooner or later, because once you see the light, once you see the truth, once you are awake, you cannot go back to sleep. You only wake up more and more and more from there. So that's about all I got for you guys today. I just wanted to bring some attention to that. I'll be back with another report. I may do another one today. I've been trying to get them out as much as I could, but I've been so busy lately with everything, I haven't been able to. But I will be trying to step up the amount of content I'm bringing. So, hopefully you guys like the content. Share the videos, like, subscribe, and make sure we are all supporting President Trump. And remember, we elected him. Don't forget how bad we wanted him in office, and let's not just get comfortable because he's there. He needs our support. He's got a tough job to do. All right, guys, my name is Mike. This has been MAGA Headline News for today on Sunday, and we will see you again soon. Have a good rest of your weekend.